All right. So the situation in Cuba, I think we're all aware of this now. It's been going on for a couple of weeks, or going on for a couple of weeks, rather. Air Canada, first one to pull the plug. WestJet followed. Sunwing, Air Transat, right? Not taking anyone to Cuba, instead actually sending planes to bring people back because of all sorts of issues, which apparently many of which stem from the U.S.'s decision on Venezuela, where Cuba used to get apparently most, if not all, of its oil. Now there's power shortages. The water availability is not always there. There are lots and lots of problems, enough that no one wants to go to Cuba. I'm not saying, by the way, that any and all Cuban resorts are experiencing this, but for the most part, when airlines start canceling vacation packages, there's a reason. So the problem now is, great, what if you're planning a spring break vacation coming up and Cuba was that destination, but you're now, okay, well, maybe I'll go somewhere else in the Caribbean. It shouldn't be a problem. It's not, except for the fact it's going to cost much more. Matthieu Wallace is director of the Matthieu Cuba Resort travel agency. It's based in Trois-Rivières. He's on the line. Matthieu, thanks for your time this afternoon.
Good evening, Mr. Aaron. How are you doing
I'm
today?
doing pretty good. Tell me what you're starting to see and hear from clients now who find out they can't be going to Cuba.
Okay, so what's happening right now is that Cuba is facing a serious fuel shortage. It's forcing airlines to suspend, reduce many flights. That immediately removes one of the biggest and most affordable winter destinations for Cuba travelers. Cuba is usually so popular because it offers very good value for money, reliable, all-inclusive resorts, direct flights from many cities in Quebec or anywhere in Canada. And it's also a warm, safe environment that people trust. For many families and seniors, it has been the go-to destination for years. Normally, a huge portion of people would be flying to Cuba at this time of the year when those flights were canceled. All of that demand suddenly shifted to places like Mexico, the Dominican Republic, and other Caribbean destinations. So now there's a problem that those destinations, they don't have unlimited seats or hotel rooms. So overnight, you have thousands more travelers competing for the same limited inventory. So when the supply goes down and the demand goes up, price rise very quickly. That's exactly what we're seeing right now.
You know, I'm looking at the story in the Journal, which says that because of the situation, right, there are now only 37 travel packages under $2,000. The week before, there were 159. So what's the advice here to someone who wants to book a trip to the Caribbean?
So the advice that I would have right now is that to plan accordingly for their trip, because as you can see that everybody that was going to Cuba is now shifting to other destinations in the south. So it's making the supply and demand come into place. So meaning less demand, more demand, less supplies, the prices are going to rise quickly onto the market. So yes, there is nothing really much under $2,000 right now. Even last-minute deals or last trips that people are making reservations to are not available presently.
Good. So no seats left. Prices are on the way up, and you're trying to get out of here for spring break. What's the recommendation?
Oh, I would actually say to plan your trip accordingly, because the budget is going to change. So instead of paying something that you would usually pay $1,200 to $1,400, well, now you're going to pay $1,800 to $2,000, which is going to be more. So if
can you still do that, or you can still find stuff in that price range, or are you going to be spending much more than that?
You're going to be spending a lot more than that, like especially for a family of 4 people. You're going to be spending out of your budget an extra $2,000 to $3,000 for your same trip if you would have lived without this Cuba shortage.
Okay. I'm trying to think, if you were going to go to the Caribbean, you can't do that. Would Florida be an option here?
Well, not many people are travelers to the States. A lot of people try to avoid the States with everything happening. So more the people would be looking into would be actually Mexico or Punta Cana. But prices, like I said, has risen since the demand. Like all the people who were going to Cuba have now been redirected towards other destinations in the south. A lot of people have received travel credits, so trying to use their travel credits and going to other destinations is making actually the availability less than it would have been if Cuba would actually be open to receiving tourists right now.
So if you were going to, the problem, of course, is here, there's not a lot of flexibility for people who are traveling, right? Kids are off, or spring break is the week it is. You can't necessarily book around it. You're kind of caught in a bad situation here as someone with a kid, in school perhaps, and this is your spring break week.
Well, I know, but At this point, there's nothing much we
Yeah.
can do as Cuba has been shut down. So if you really want to take your trip out of this country and go to the south destination, you're going to have to plan accordingly and actually get some funds on the side because the price will not be as expected.
Can I just ask, with respect to Cuba, as I said just before we started, does this mean you can't get to Cuba to any hotel, or there's still resorts operating there, as far as you know?
I know there was still flights coming back to Canada, as Holkin yesterday had one more flight taking the client customers back, but I haven't heard since today that there was actual other flights taking the customers or clients from Cuba back to Canada. So a lot of hotels have been closing down. It's been slowly closing them all down. I know some are still operating at the moment because there's other countries where travelers are able to access to Cuba. So I've heard that people have been trying to go directly to Florida, to fly in through Havana, to being able to go to Cuba. I've heard also people going to Mexico because Aeromexico is still flying into the country. And I heard also Russia. So these are all destinations that are actually still going to the country. So are all the hotels closed down? No, they're not all closed down at the moment, but a lot of them have been closing down slowly and surely, and clients have been redirected to other hotels.
Would you go?
I love Cuba. Cuba is my homeland. I think it's a beautiful country. I think the people over there are awesome. I do think that it's a safe environment to bring your kids as a tourist. You don't have to feel worried about getting hurt or robbed or things like that. Like it's actually a pretty safe area for you to go to. I would go to Cuba to help the people because I know that the local economy does run around tourists. I know that the main economy from the tourists goes to the government, but us Canadian, we're big-hearted people, and especially the Quebecers, when we go out there, we're always bringing stuff for the people at the hotels, the maids, the workers, and I think that we were a big part of their personal economy at home, that we were bringing in the things that they were not able to access as the embargo is in place, so they're not able to ship things into the country.
We'll leave it at that. Matthieu, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
I thank you very much, Mr. Aaron. Have a great day,
All
sir.
right. So there you go. You can still get there if you want to take that chance. You're just going to have to find another way to do it. You're not going to be able to get to Cuba from here on a Canadian airline.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years. And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.